Namaste and welcome to Thrive, the live chat series brought to you by Greeniche Natural Health. This is your host, Annu Gaidhu, Ayurvedic yoga health practitioner and yoga teacher, here to share with you some of the best insights from the city's experts that are here to tell you their practices during this time of COVID-19, how we're navigating, how we're getting by, and what we're doing to ensure that our health and wellness is utmost priority. And this week I have Nadia Khan, who's also my sister-in-law, as a side note. Had to say that because of just her wisdom and incredible and valuable information that she brings from her experience as not only being a mother of two, but a business owner as well as a wife and just a loving daughter. And so I'm super excited to have Nadia talk to us about her business, Simply Be, and her practice with aromatherapy, crystal light therapy, as well as heliotherapy. So without further ado, let's welcome Nadia. Hey Nadia, how's it going today?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. Sorry about the technology delay there.
That's okay.
I was just telling everyone about, A, you're my sister-in-law, but B, I'm super excited to have you on only because of the amount of wisdom that you carry, and I mean that with all honesty in the sense of just who you represent as not only just Nadia Khan of what we know, but also as a human being. And so I really hope to share those aspects of yourself and just, your family with everyone that's listening. So how about we start with that? Just, what does it mean to be a CFA aromatherapist?
CFA was something that I stumbled across it just in terms of looking for treatment for my son who's on the spectrum. And I really wanted to know what it meant to go and purchase aromatherapy essential oils. And when I started to dig further into it, I realized that it's a huge market and there's products everywhere from grocery stores to specialty stores to farmers markets. And it was interesting to me because I always wanted to know where things came from. I'm always a big why person. And it was interesting to me that a lot of the time when I would ask why or where does it come from, place of origin, I often couldn't get a response. And that was something a little bit of a light bulb moment, and started digging into it. And I said, you know what? Becoming certified will actually give me the ability to ask these questions with a platform and to know what questions to ask, to look for proper and place of origin aromatherapy, good quality, and know the difference. And it's something that was really eye-opening in terms of usage and where to purchase and how to purchase.
I loved how you said that about just looking at alternative methods and really just trying to find out for yourself where things are coming from, where they originated, and the quality that you're receiving. So I just wanted to ask, was this something out of just random sheer curiosity one day you woke up and you're like, let me just see this and Google it or something? Or was it as a result of some experiences that perpetuated maybe you looking into alternative methods?
A little bit of both, I would say. My oldest son, he was diagnosed with autism when he was 6.5. Mm-hmm. And it was interesting to me because he had a lot of emotional regulation issues. And, often we would go to see, doctors, and you do, like therapy, ABA and behavioral and things like that. And it was something I always felt that something was missing. And I started looking into alternative medicine because the doctors were just, trying to prescribe medications or things like that, which I really wasn't into. So we just started to look into alternative medicine. We looked into, Ayurveda. We looked into a whole lot of different things. And it kind of sent me on this amazing journey. I always say my son is my muse with that because he kind of opened that whole realm that I wouldn't have even thought of looking into ever. I probably just would have gone to, a store and purchased some oils and, they smell nice, and that would have been the end of it. But because of him, I ask a lot of questions. He has allergies and things like that. So I think that, I think definitely those why questions. I am an educator, and I just kind of shifted into, I suppose, the holistic mind frame and kind of incorporated that teaching ability that I guess comes a little bit natural to me sometimes, and wanting to teach people the right way because I really want people to get the best that they can find or get their hands on and ask those questions and know that they are a valuable consumer and they should know where their things come from to give themselves and their family the best.
There's so many things I want to say, but I just wanted to highlight in that just experiencing it with you, as opposed to just listening to it back. I'm able to identify those gaps that maybe people don't get to see or witness if they have such experiences, or maybe issues or challenges that they may not be prepared to handle. And so I just think it's really beautiful how, as an educator in your journey, you were able to find out another modality or something else that is enhancing your experience and bringing your family closer together, which is just amazing. Which leads me to my next question. And out of everything that you had discovered and researched, was there something in particular that caught your eye that you felt was most useful in combating or helping with some of the symptoms related to what you were experiencing with your son?
It started with the aromatherapy. And I went out west, and it took me 2 years, and I got certified. And it just other things just organically opened up in that field, just through, working with other people in clinics and, getting that exposure. And it led me to light therapy, like heliolight therapy. It led me to crystal light therapy. And now we do these amazing meditation sessions where we actually incorporate all the modalities together. And it suits for an amazing experience, especially for people that suffer with mental illness, because it actually it vibrates right throughout the body. It's such a beautiful thing. And to build such an amazing community of people that use these modalities and can use it in their everyday life, to me, is a really beautiful thing for growth.
I've always wanted to know about crystal light therapy, because other than the generic, the salt lamp that everyone has, I've had my fair share of experiences with those pieces. But one of my favorite things that you had gifted me was the black, I believe the EMA emissions that come off of devices.
Black tourmaline?
The black tourmaline, yes.
Okay. Yeah.
And Shanghai, yes. So those were two of the my introduction actually into crystals, and being able to see how in real time I can use crystals to help me feel better. And so I wanted to ask you a little bit more about how does crystal light therapy work, and what's kind of the idea behind it in your experience?
So crystal light therapy, it's actually done with the body. So I actually utilize it in sort of a setting where you lay down, and I actually use very powerful crystals like Lumerian crystals and stuff, and I place them on the body, and I use them in conjunction with the aromatherapy oils that I personally create. It's part of a alchemy sort of line that I do with clients, and it amplifies that vibration. And I use the light in conjunction with the crystals. And so it's amazing because it's a really interesting experience for people, because it actually creates the sense of balance and calm. And people usually come into it, and when I have to work on their crown chakra, for instance, to try to slow down that speeding thought process, for people that have sleep disorders and things like that, I often have to work very hard on the crown, because people are just such overthinkers, or they're thinking in the moment, oh, this won't work, or just other things. What am I going to pick up at the grocery store later? And so their minds are just so wired. And I noticed it a lot with individuals that are on their cell phones, for instance, or children on devices. Those EMF waves just charge our minds and have them going. And I'm a big fan of shungite. I have it all over my house. I have it in pretty much every window of my house for each room, including my kids' bedrooms. And it's amazing to kind of deflect that negative energy, especially EMF, which we can't see. And the crystals, I just find, it's not a cure-all, but I find that they're a very good tool for people to utilize. Both my children are avid rock collectors now. Yeah. They enjoy going through the process of simply going into a store, and I love the experience of just going in and feeling it, and going in and choosing and seeing what sparks your interest. And you can tell a lot from what you choose in terms of deficiency. And I think it's a really beautiful thing for people that go in not knowing too much, because you don't go in overthinking it. You go in feeling it more. And especially for people that are emotionally charged, it's really beautiful.
I was just, avid rock collections. That's what I'm noticing slowly build up for me as well as I'm learning more about crystals. And I just wanted to ask if you could share possibly what your experience has been in witnessing your boys be more connected to nature, essentially, and what that has done in terms of their symptoms and just navigating school, and even throughout these times right now with COVID and the current pandemic, and how there's so many changes that are going on. I'm just wondering as to, has there been, how do you manage that first? And second, what were some of the steps people can take right now if they wanted to cultivate something similar? Where would they start?
I would say COVID has obviously been a challenge, I think, for everyone in a lot of different aspects. I know with my boys, especially my older son who's on the spectrum, he actually got a little bit more reserved. And I noticed that it was a lot because he is a bit of a social butterfly and he couldn't spread those wings during quarantine. And it was so difficult for him. And I noticed that it resulted in a lot of negativity, I suppose, in his mind from the way he thought about things. He'd be a little bit more grumpy, my boys would fight a little bit more, and it was something that I noticed within the first couple of weeks that the shift started occurring. I noticed it with other individuals and clients that I've spoken to. There's been a little bit of disharmony because everyone's kind of thrown off their axis, and it's trying to regain that balance back. One of the cool things we actually did, because, we had to get really creative during quarantine, was I had my boys actually get all the rocks, which was a lot of them, and we decided to wash them. And I was asking them, while they were washing them, which ones were their favorites, and we were talking about them. And then we decided, okay, we need to go charge them, especially Shanghai needs to be charged. And we found a nice day outside and, we put them outside and, they charged them and they came back. And it was interesting to me because children are so innocent and they just have that ability, I think, to be connected to things a lot more than adults sometimes. And to me, that's something really admirable about children. And, they'd come and say, this one feels like my favorite today. And, they'd take like their Legos and their Tonka trucks and they would actually integrate the crystals in it. And, it's become part of their playing repertoire almost. It's not to say that it's something completely separate. And to me, it's a really cool thing because it's so organic. And, we go out and they love just, being part of nature and even, just walking around the backyard, during quarantine. And then, in the summer, we went hiking a lot. And to me, it's great to come off a device and even just, go on the swings with your kids for 10 minutes and talk about these things because it's the world around us and there's so many things to enjoy. And I think being in COVID, I realized what's really important. And to us, having busy lives, I'm sure so many other people do, you're into that routine a lot. So you kind of don't appreciate the things that are important and mean something to you. And it was a big realization for all of us to actually stop and say, I love you today and you are special and you are cared for. And sometimes people get off-put because they don't know how to take that reaction. But those affirmations it's been amazing. It's honestly been such an amazing journey.
What has been, what do you believe to be one of the hardest challenges that you've had to experience during this time?
My boys, that same sort of, I think, I don't want to call it like a mental illness, but I think it's just, they crave that social interaction like so much of us, and having to kind of force yourself to be, just with the people in your home, or your immediate social network. It's been hard. And, you had to be choosy and very careful. And to me, it's been really hard not to give people hugs. That is the biggest thing. And it's
avid hugger.
Yes, of course. And it's something that just a hug. It's a real hug. And to me, it's like social distance hug. And every time I have sessions with clients, the first thing I do is hug them. And it's been so awkward. And I actually took it out on my kids now because I give them even longer hugs. Yeah. They kind of get away from me. But
that used to be my cat,
Yeah. I mean, it's the one that you connect with, right? Whether it's through a pet or another being, like it's something that spiritual connection, it's something that's been really hard. I know for us at home, because we're big cuddlers and huggers, and we've been having to kind of find other ways.
That's something that I've been hearing from almost every single guest, which is the process of just kind of taking a step back and looking at the situation at hand and seeing, what's the most valuable in this and what's the most valuable for me. And it always relates. What's beautiful for me to see is it always comes back to love and being able to be the best version of yourself and ensuring that you can provide that for others. And I just wanted to ask you in general, heliotherapy. I know nothing about heliotherapy. It sounds like a pretty exotic word to me, heliotherapy. So I wanted to know a little bit more about the principles of heliotherapy and how that applies to your practice in working with your kids as well as clients.
Like heliotherapy, it does sound fancy. It's pretty much a fancy word for light therapy. So the light therapy that I use is through a device that emits frequency, and the frequency actually can charge parts of your body for deficiency. So it's through visible light, which is actually the wonderful stuff that we get from the sun. Yeah. So it's right down the middle of the spectrum. It's between UV and ultraviolet, but it's not harmful at all. Okay. So what it is the spectrum of color, like the rainbow. They hold colors and they hold a range of what they measure in between nanometers. So it's in between 400 and 700 nanometers, depending on the color, what the range is. Right. And it's amazing because it's simple, but it's not. It's non-invasive. I use it probably more on my kids than anything because they are little daredevils and get cuts and scrapes. And like for an example, we use a lot of indigo at home, which is a combination of blue and fuchsia, right? And they're little lenses that fit into these devices, and they emit this color through a high frequency LED light. Mm-hmm. And it's amazing to me because it actually helps not only cure things but heal things. So indigo is really good for pain management, to kind of take a little bit of the pain away, to kind of heal it. Like if gotten scraped, it will actually get like get like that heel on top of it. Instead of it taking a couple days, I can use it, and within a couple of hours, it's healed on top. I use it for people that have open heart surgery on their wounds to heal faster. Things like that.
So is it a pen that you're using with like that omits light, or is it I guess what I'm trying to ask is more so, how would one go about inquiring, even if they wanted to practice heliotherapy, or maybe even have a session for their kids? How would one person, I guess, start in exploring that?
So I usually use a pen. It's quite large. I also use mats as well when I'm out west. And the pen I find works more efficiently only because it's more finite. It depends on what you're working on. I work with a lot of women, especially that have like reproductive issues, things like that. It's more finite, so it kind of gets me into areas of the body that are very small if they're having a smaller issue or things like that, mm-hmm. as opposed to using the mats that are much larger and tend to cover more surface area. But it's amazing to me because a lot of kids that see it, they think it's like a flashlight.
Yeah.
You obviously can't look into it. But it's something that they think it's a toy, right? And they just chill. They hang out. They usually do a little meditation while I do my thing. And, before most people don't even feel a thing, but it's amazing what comes out of it. I've used it for my son to calm him down, in terms of having those racing thoughts and not being able to fall asleep right away. He's an overthinker, my older one. And it's been really interesting to see his mind actually slow down, and watch the calm just come into him, mm-hmm. And then at that moment, you can see the body relaxing, and it's really beautiful without having to give him anything. I've worked with adults the same way with like sleep issues, and a lot of the culprits are, screen time and
stress, anxiety, screen time, and just emotional regulation and being able to control all of that while living and breathing, so it's quite a bit.
No, absolutely.
But it sounds like, honestly, it just sounds like you're you're just taking life with ease and being able to accept it with each breath, as it's coming. And I think that it's almost like radical self-love, I find. And it brings me to my next question, just about when listening to you say that you've seen such amazing benefits and seeing the difference in quality of experience when it comes to your children and how they are interacting with one another, and also kind of through these times. Has aromatherapy helped them in any of your work, or in the past? Does it have a possibility to help there?
Yeah, they are actually, I call them my little minions. They cannot go to sleep without their diffuser on, 365 every night. They have their own oils. Actually, my younger one, he's more of a free spirited. I call him my little orange child. He is, he loves life. And, sometimes
the color orange.
He is my orange child. I always say that. And, it's very admirable for me because I am a very structured individual, but I have the orange at times, and he brings that orange out, and it's great, but it's a lot of energy. And with him, I tend to gravitate towards oils that would kind of calm him down a little bit more. He's an amazing sleeper, but he just, from the moment his eyes open, he is going. And, I love it. But, sometimes it's nice to actually have that calm within yourself and still have that energy and have it balanced. And with him, we use a lot of chamomile with him and lavender. Chamomile lavender is one of his favorites. He loves the smell of cinnamon and things like that, which is more of that root grounding sort of thing. So, we alternate, but we don't want anything stimulating, being right before bed. And my older son, he loves peppermint. So,
nice.
Yeah. So, we try to incorporate some peppermint and lavender, or sometimes he just wants straight peppermint. But to me, that's essence of, like peppermint is more of a heart chakra sort of, oil. And, to me, I love that because he is such a loving child. And to me, it just reinforces who he is. But every once in a while, I have to give him a little bit of the opposite of my other son because he's not as free-spirited. He's very tight. He's articulate more, So, the two of them, they're very interesting, but they're kind of the opposite of what the other person needs for balance.
Yeah.
But smell is a huge thing, not even just for children, like for adults. And it's that Olaf factory, and it's, you smell something and sometimes you're like, whoa, I can't do that. But often what you don't like is what you need. So it's very interesting because people usually gravitate to what's comfortable. So, like lavender, for instance, I always tell people if you're going to start with aromatherapy, start with lavender, right? It's an all round sort of oil. And
that's my staple.
Yeah. And it's something that, it's kind of like if you're a coffee or tea drinker, sometimes you want to change it up a little. You may not always want the same thing. And lavender is a good base for a lot of things. So you can grow with it and see where that takes you. But, I find that having the diffuser going, I found like, especially during COVID, like we've been using a lot of, oils that are a little bit more like astringent based, to kind of kill bacteria, and it's incredible. I think we have a diffuser in every bedroom, and we have two on our main floor, and it's just become a part of who we are.
Nadia, are you able to apply essential oils onto your skin directly?
So you can, but not the 100% pure oils. So not the ones that you put in your diffuser, they are different. The ones that you use topically need to be diluted. And this is why I advocate for aromatherapists so much, because buying a run-of-the-mill roll-on, it doesn't work for everybody. And because inside that bottle, I think of it as a giant question mark. Where did it come from? What's in there? All of these things. Are you allergic? What is the dilution? And it's not one size fit all. You don't go to the doctor and he doesn't just hand you medication. He takes a lot of things into consideration before he writes that prescription. You can go to the drugstore and get something, but it's not going to be tailored for you. And I have had a lot of people tell me that, they'd go and buy, a roll-on somewhere and they have an allergic reaction, or it's too strong or too weak, or, you know, they might put it on their child and it's way too strong for a child, right? So it's asking those questions, I think, is a really big thing. And it's good for to keep your health where it needs to be, so that there's no adverse effects. And so that, you know, some things are not good for some people, or it could have contraindicators. So I think it's really important to work through a professional for these things.
And also, I love how you highlighted just how you referenced looking at, you know, these blends as sometimes big question marks, because sometimes they do come as that prepackaged solutions. And sometimes we don't need that when our lives are kind of operating in such a different way. And especially now in a time of unpredictability, when it's even more important. And so I wanted to ask you just about self-love and self-care practices. I know you had shared a lot of things, and I'm sure everybody can pick up just by, you know, your energy and your commitment to young people, how much you love your children and what you're doing to advocate for their health, and including yours as well, which is so inspirational. You know, I just wanted to say that. So let's talk about you and see what's up with your self-care and your love practices, and how do you give yourself that nourishment every day?
Anyone that has children could attest to this. Your day usually starts pretty early. I've been really blessed in the sense that my children are a little bit older now. So, you know, they don't get up at the 6 a.m. mark anymore.
Yeah.
But I find that I like to have those quiet moments before things get busy, hectic, you know, and before school and work and all that other stuff come into play. And I either wake up very early. I'll wake up a little bit earlier. If I know my kids get up at 7:30, I'll wake up maybe at like 6:30. And I'm going to give myself that 30 minutes, or I'll take it when they're sleeping at night, when it's quiet. And I find that, you know, sometimes it may be something as simple as just like getting a cup of tea. And, you know, it's one of those things that you forget who you are sometimes when you're in such a cycle of things, whether you have kids or you don't have kids and you're just working, and you forget what really drives your passion. And a simple thing like reading a book, to me, like I'll just, you know, grab a blanket and, you know, sit and read a book and have a cup of tea. To me, that's life, you know, and it feeds my soul to have this. I often wake up, and if I wake up early, I'll try to do a meditation around sunrise and just kind of get my morning kind of, you know, going in the right sort of pace. And I feel like when I'm in that mode of calmness, I feel like the morning goes by so much more smoothly, and there's less of that, you know, things being thrown and you reacting, and then everything kind of going chaotic, you know. And I feel like, you know, everyone has energy within them. And, you know, if I start my day off like this, my kids pick up on this and they tend to wake up more calm, and you know, we just go with it. You know, things will happen, but it's trying to set yourself in that sort of place where you're content and happy and you can deal with it. You're not going to, you know, it's something that I think that a lot of people need to start their day off right. It's not just always the cup of coffee or the cup of tea in the morning. Taking even 10 minutes for yourself and saying something to yourself that means something that can carry you throughout your day. And those affirmations are huge. And, you know, I like to write them on little, like those whiteboard markers, and write them on the mirror. Things, you know, and when you wake up, you see it in the morning. You know, you're combing your hair, you're doing your makeup, brushing your teeth, you're looking at it, and say it to yourself and feel that self-love to, you know, to start you off right.
Have you always prioritized self-care from the beginning, or is there a time that you can recall and you'd like to share maybe in which there was that distinction where you started to prioritize it more, let's say?
I think when I was younger, not so much. You know, you're young and, you know, you live day by day, moment by moment. I think I realized how valuable my time was, especially sleep, after I had children. And then I realized, okay, if I don't take time for myself, no one's going to give me that time.
Yeah.
And I think it's sometimes a habit that parents get themselves into, or people that work a lot get themselves into. They care about everything else externally, but internally, you're not taking care of yourself. And it's not a selfish thing. And I always thought it was a selfish thing, because, you know, you're thinking of yourself as being somewhat narcissistic, but you have to feed your soul. If you don't feel good about yourself, it's nothing, you know what I mean? How do you expect someone else to feel that for you? and it comes with confidence as well. I mean, I suffered with anxiety when I was younger, and, it was one of those things that I had to work on every day, and I made it part of my life. And even up to this day, like, it's something that you have to work on it. You can't just leave it and let it be. There's no magical formula for this. And that self-love, once you feel it and you appreciate yourself for who you are, imperfections and all, nothing else really matters. People can say things, and yeah, words do hurt. But, you know to yourself, okay, I'm still smart. I'm still beautiful. I can still do this. Like, people can say what they want to say, but you have to believe that and want that for yourself and know that you deserve that.
Yeah, that's a real powerful, powerful statement, because, that's something I've learned too in Ayurveda. They say in order to heal others, we have to attend to the divine healer within us first. And I hope that it's still connected here. We just have a little bit of a lag. I can still hear you. Can you hear me? Nadia? Okay, 1 second. Nadia, are you here? All right.
Okay, yeah, it's back.
Awesome. Okay, so I was saying to you how it is a powerful statement what